care at home?
Well, then it can get really expensive. In fact, it could be more expensive in the nursing home because a medical aid is going to charge about $39 an hour and even more in some parts of the country.
$39 an hour, that's more than $900 a day.
That's right. It can be very expensive to receive 24-hour day care at home, as we'll see in my conversation with Jackie Evans. Jackie, you know about long-term care. You've been living the reality of long-term care for the last 10 years or so. Tell me about it.
Now, my husband has had balance issues for a long time. And one night he got up and went downstairs, but he didn't quite make it the whole way down.
What happened?
He fell. It ended up that he had broken collarbone and contusions and bruises all over.
And where did he go from there?
We had to call the ambulance and he went into the hospital.
And how long was he in the hospital?
It was probably a couple of weeks. He was a difficult patient.
And from there, could you take him home and take care of him after that?
Oh, there's no way. He needed some rehab. So he went into a rehab center.
And a rehab center is sort of like a nursing home, right?
Very much like a nursing home.
And he didn't want to stay there.
Oh, that was living hell. He hated it. He hated all the people there, and he just wanted to go home and couldn't understand why he couldn't.
And after that, were you able to bring him home?
After that, yes, we did bring him home.
And did you care for him all by yourself, or did you get some help?
No, there's no way I could have done that. I was working 8 hours a day at that point. So I really did have to decide what to do.
And what's the process like trying to find somebody to help at home?
It's horrendous. We went through about 5 or 6 different caregivers and finally concluded that you basically get what you pay for. And when somebody is making $14 an hour, their heart isn't necessarily in it.
Right. So what was the solution to that? Did you find somebody to come in 24/7?
We contracted with a large agency who does a better screening job. And we had somebody come in 24/7, and she worked out very well.
And what does something like that cost?
At the time, it was costing about $6,000, $6,200 a month.
Wow, $6,000 a month. That's $72,000 a year. That's the price of a nursing home. Did you ever consider that?
Oh, he just never would have made it in a nursing home. He hated the rehab so much that I knew that if I put him into a nursing home, in a very short period of time, he'd be dead.
So it wasn't just a matter of cost, it was a matter of choice.
Yes, and we just decided that if we kept him in his own environment where he could watch his television and pet his cat, he would be very happy.
So who pays for long-term care?
Well, a lot of people assume that Medicare pays for it, but it's generally not the case. Medicare will pay for short-term rehabilitation services in a nursing home, but it doesn't pay for long-term care.
Oh, so it's Medicaid that pays for nursing home bills.
Well, Medicaid is the government's health care program for the poor, and it does pay about half of all nursing home costs in the country. But to qualify for Medicaid, you have to spend down your assets, and in most states, that means spending down to your last $2,000.
Well, I bet that's not very hard to do considering how much long-term care costs.
It is. It is easy to run through a lifetime of savings paying for long-term care, but some people do try to speed it up by giving away money so they can qualify for Medicaid sooner.
Does that work?
Well, in the past, it worked for some people, but it's tougher to do now because of new laws.
What's going on?
Governments can now look back on your finances from the previous 5 years, and if you've given away money at any point during that 5-year period, you would be ineligible for Medicaid for a period of time.
But wait a minute, I've either spent my money or given away. I have long-term care bills. The government won't help. Who pays the bills?
That's the problem. Either you're going to have to go into debt or find somebody, maybe in your family, to pay those bills.
So anything else about Medicaid?
Well, Medicaid's not always that hoped-for solution, because while the government might pay for your long-term care, you'll probably lose the option of where you receive the care.
Well, thanks, Mary Beth. I think now that I know about the cost of long-term care, we've got to figure out how to pay for it. Next, paying for long-term care. Knight Kiplinger and Kim Langford go over the options.
Kim, we've heard about the potential need for long-term care, and we've heard about what can be the staggering cost of long-term care. So what's a baby boomer to do?
Well, a lot of it depends on your financial situation. Some wealthy people choose to self-insure and pay for any costs out of their own pocket if they do need care. Lower income people and some middle income people with few assets have to rely on Medicaid.
So what if you're not truly rich and you're not poor, but you might have some pretty substantial assets.
Well, people who have equity in their home, for example, could take out a reverse mortgage and draw down that home equity to pay for home care.
And they don't have to pay that back until the house is sold or they die.
That's correct. That works for some people. There's other people who just take the chance that they might not need care, but that could be a risk because if they do need care, it could end up depleting most of their nest egg.
So what's the ideal financial situation for a prospective buyer of long-term care insurance?
It's really someone who can afford the premiums and doesn't want to take that risk of having to possibly spend down all of their nest egg. About 8 million people have long-term care insurance right now, and that even includes some people who are wealthy enough to be able to self-insure, but instead choose to buy the policy and pay the premiums so they can protect their nest egg and their legacy for their heirs.
How does long-term care insurance work?
Well, when you buy the policy, you start paying the premiums every month while you're healthy. Then if you do need care, the insurance kicks in after a waiting period called an elimination period.
What's that typical waiting period before the first benefit starts?
It tends to be about 30 to 90 days.
And then what?
Well, when you bought the policy, you bought a certain daily benefit, say $200 a day. That's actually a bit of a misnomer because what you really have is a pool of benefits. If you have a $200 daily benefit and a 3-year benefit period, you actually have $219,000 available to pay for care.
What if you don't need $200 every day?
Well, if you need less than that, the extra money goes into the pool and you can use it when you do need it, even if that takes more than 3 years, for example.
So it's not use it or lose it.
It's not use it or lose it, and the care doesn't have to be continuous either. If you need care for a while, you can use the benefits, stop for a while, and then start back on later again if you need care in the future.
Does this insurance pay only for nursing homes?
No, in fact, that's one of the key things about these policies, is you choose where to receive the care, whether it's in your home or an assisted living facility or a nursing home. And some of the best policies even have care managers that help you get the help you need.
Okay, we've seen how to cover the cost of care with insurance. Next, how to afford the cost of that insurance. For that, we need a little perspective.